Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about my favorite makeup brushes. I haven't done this video since I think like March of last year, so it's been a while. I have some new favorites I want to share with you, things that I incorporate in my everyday routine. I do wash my brushes every 2 weeks, like I give them a deep clean with like my brush spinny video. I'll link that video down below where I show you how I deep clean my brushes, but I do that process every 2 weeks and then I usually switch out my brushes just because I have a lot and I want to make sure that I'm using them all and getting my money's worth, because I just like to just cycle through things. And even though I have a lot of what may be considered the same thing, I don't have any one brush. Like, even though like these two fluffy brushes may look the same, like I don't have the same exact brush twice in my collection. I don't have any duplicates, but there are some that I obviously use more than others. So that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. So I hope you're excited. If you are, don't forget to please subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so you know when I post down below. I think someone commented on my video. She was so sweet. She was like, I can't find where the notification bell is and I want to hit it so I can watch your videos. Basically it's down there, or is it here? I always forget. It's like flipped. It's basically, you look at the screen from your perspective, it's on right underneath on the right side next to the subscribe button. There's a little bell. You hit that and then you'll be notified every time I post. I usually post once a week. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get on into it. Before I get into the brushes, I want to give a shout out to this guy right here, the BeautyBlender. It's not something that I use every day. Honestly, for me personally, I gravitate more towards a brush on an everyday use. They're more fast. I don't have to wet anything. I applied my makeup with a BeautyBlender today, and when I have time to sit down and do a full glam, this is still the best sponge. I have the EcoTools one, I have the flower one, I have the Morphe one, but this BeautyBlender, this is the BeautyBlender Chill, by the way. This is still, I think, the best makeup sponge, and I know there are so many dupes out, and BeautyBlender's been kind of shady, so I don't know, but this is just so soft, and if you wring out all the water, it really truly does give you a flawless, even finish. And the advantage to a BeautyBlender over a brush is that it won't leave streak marks, because when you're blending it with a brush, obviously there are bristles, so you may get brush strokes just by the physics of the application. With a BeautyBlender, because you're pouncing, you just buff out the foundation so much, like very smoothly and evenly. So I love it. I love like the iconic egg shape because I love this point to really blend out my concealer under my eyes and around my hairline, wherever it may be. This is still a really good guide. First, let's go with face brushes, and I really wanted to make it a point to just kind of keep things simple and only do one item per category, because those are like my favorites. Sometimes I'll have like options, but for the most part I want to keep it to one per category.
Oh my gosh, I can't find my foundation brush anywhere.
The one that I want to talk about. What the heck? Oh wait, oh my god, it's sitting right in front of me. It literally took me 2 minutes to find this. I want to talk about this guy right here. Morphe M439 is my favorite foundation brush of all time. If I had to get rid of all my foundation brushes, there are a lot of brushes from BH Cosmetics. There are so many good brushes, but this guy, there's something so special about it. Sorry, there's like a little bit of foundation from when I cleaned it because it's really hard to get all of this stuff off. But there's something about the iconic, like, I don't know, like it's not a flat top kabuki like you can see in comparison to my IT Cosmetics one. Like this is like rounder, and I think that's what makes it so much smoother, and it's just more malleable. You can really spread it across your face, and because it's not a flat top, you don't really get those brush strokes, which I think is awesome. And it's really soft. Like I know Morphe brushes tend to get a bad rap, but this foundation brush truly, like I've had this for about a year now, and I mean, you can still see it's in pretty good condition. There's like no shedding. Some of their brushes, I will say, like this one right here, the M527, the bronzer brush, it's a goat haired brush. It's shedding, really not the best quality. Like you can see, it's like not doing well, but this as a synthetic brush is holding up really well, and I think it's really worth the money. It's like $15, I think, but brushes will last you a really long time, and the price is right. So I would really recommend, if you're looking for a great foundation brush that will really last, is really easy to blend and hold in your hand, this is a really good one. For concealer, my favorite brush ever to blend out my concealer is the Ulta Beauty Precision Foundation Brush. Now, Ulta Beauty, the brand itself, also does have great brushes as well. I'm going to talk about another one that's in another category. But if I had to narrow down all of my concealer brushes to just blend out like my concealer and stuff, I would narrow it down to this guy right here. And I think that even though it's labeled as a foundation brush, because it's so small and the shape is just so perfect and conducive to just like blending out your under eyes, like this truly does such a great job. The bristles are densely packed, it's fluffy, it's really soft. These are synthetic hairs as well. I love the little like grip right here, like the brush handle itself is super ergonomic, so I love that. It's just really easy to hold in your hand and blend out your under eye concealer, really get into the lines and then around everywhere else, because you've got that like flat but like triangle-esque but not flat brush head, which I think is the key to blending out something so evenly, so smoothly. I just hit myself. I don't get any kind of like harsh streak marks when I use this. It's a really good brush and I recommend it. It was a little bit pricier for what you may consider a brush to be. At least that's how I felt when I purchased it. This was 20 bucks, but I've had this for over a year and it still works really, really well. Even the handle is like in perfect condition. There's no like fading or anything. So if I had to pick one concealer brush, and I mean, this could technically be foundation. I would say this is the most versatile because you can obviously blend out your entire face with this, but for more targeted application, this is definitely the guy for me. Let's talk about powder brushes. So if you've been watching my videos, I'll link a couple tutorials down below. The tutorial I just posted for fall. You would know that I always go in with like a tapered brush in addition to an all over powder brush. So my favorite tapered brush, I have two. I have the e.l.f. one, but I gotta say my favorite one, if I had to pick one, is the Juvia's Place tapered brush. And now, it doesn't really say tapered brush. God, I always get the words mixed up. Tapered brush on the handle itself, but it just says Juvia's, and I did buy this online in a set on juviasplace.com with this larger one that I use for bronzer sometimes. But this is such a great tapered brush. First of all, the design is super cute. Like, it's got purple and pink bristles. It's just really cute. I think they have a couple other color varieties. This is just the one that was on the website at the time that I purchased it, but I think this is so good. Like, you can see right here, it's a little bit fatter at the bottom, but then it comes tapered obviously at the top, which is what makes this so nice. And it is bigger than like my e.l.f. brush right here, so it does cover more ground. And I use this today to set under my eyes with my, of course, Essence Brighten Up Banana Powder. Oh my god, this is falling apart. And I just set in here, and then I can set like down the middle of my face. So I think this is a great brush. It's super soft, and it's great for like pressed powder if you want to just use like one pressed powder brush. I'm going to talk about another pressed powder brush, but this is just great for like your under eyes and just for more like precision setting. So this is my guy for under eye powder tapered brush. It's really good. For brushes, I have two because I have a loose powder favorite and then I have a pressed powder favorite that I want to talk about. For pressed powder, I have to give it to this guy. Mine is so old, so the handle's like kind of coming off, but the brush itself is still really nice. This is the BH Cosmetics V11 brush, and you can see it's a huge powder brush. Like, this is ginormous, and that's what I love so much about it, because you just dunk your brush in and then you just stamp all over your face and it gets the job done. And because it's synthetic, it's super soft and it does deposit the product very nicely, very generously. But with a pressed powder, I prefer a synthetic brush because it'll pick up more of that product, which is great because you're patting it on your face anyway and you want to get as much coverage as possible. So I love this, and I prefer like the denser the better. Like, I also love my EcoTools full powder brush, but I didn't want to recommend it because if you watched my Get Ready With Me in LA, which I'll link down below, my mom's full powder brush was more of a looser powder brush, and this is more dense. So I don't want to recommend it in case there are inconsistencies and you do happen to get like the loose version. That's not so good with pressed powder in my opinion, whereas this one is. So I didn't really want to talk about that. This guy is just so good overall. It's like super soft, really easy to clean, and again, like the sheer size of this just makes it so good for pressed powder. And honestly, like, I've used this for foundation before. I sometimes do this thing where I'll use, like right now, like I'm using this for my powder brush right now. It's super dense and it's labeled as powder, but I've used this for foundation because as long as, in my opinion, as long as you're using a super dense synthetic haired brush, it'll blend out your foundation really nicely. So yeah, this is really good. This is the BH Cosmetics V11. And then for loose powder, I have to give it to this guy. And I obviously want to recommend a runner-up because I don't know the official name of this, but I don't even know like if they still sell it. I bought this years ago at TJ Maxx. If you guys have been watching my videos, you will know that I refer to this as the TJ Maxx brush. I just faithfully stumbled upon it one day when I was at TJ Maxx. Back before I really was into makeup or really knew a lot about makeup, I was just like, oh, I need a powder brush, and I was just at TJ Maxx. This is the one that I saw and I picked up, and I love it. It's fraying a little bit, but honestly, I've had this for so many years that the quality is like holding up, let me tell you. And this is great for just sweeping all over my face because you can see it's a little more flimsy, a little less densely packed than this guy right here, which makes it more conducive to, you know, sweeping and, you know, swooping and fluffing powder all over your face. So this is really good. It just buffs in the right amount and you can really just get everything on without moving your makeup underneath. But I do want to recommend this guy as a runner-up. I recently got this. This is the e.l.f. number 101 brush. I believe this is like the large powder brush. And this is super soft. Like you can see, like, wow, so soft. This is a truly luxurious brush. I think it was like $12. This is good because it's kind of like in the middle of between these two brushes in terms of density, but I do think this is better for loose powder. You can even bronze with this, but I just love like sweeping this all over my face, and because it's so big, it does get the job done. The handle's really nice. The brush is super luxurious. Like it looks really, really high quality, doesn't it? And this obviously, like once you dunk your brush into the powder, this will deposit a little bit more product than this guy right here, just because it is a little bit denser, but it's still flimsy enough where you can buff out everything and just get a really nice overall appearance. So I love this guy. Now, moving on to bronzer, I just have to give it to one guy right here because this is my favorite bronzer brush of all time, and I was on the hunt for the perfect bronzer brush. I have so many in my collection because I was on the hunt for so long, but this, in my opinion, is it, at least for now. This is the Ulta Beauty bronzer brush. It has a similar handle as the foundation brush, that matte gray, which is really nice, and this is synthetic, but it is the perfect, like, bronzer, like, size because it's like an oval, but it's tapered, so it's not as big and won't be as generous as like a regular round powder brush because it'll just really get in the hollows and it just blends out your bronzer so easily, so smoothly. Like this guy truly is it. It's so soft, it doesn't shed. This was about $20 as well, like in that range, but I think it's super duper worth it. Like it's so good. And I love, honestly, like I'm not like tooting my own horn, but I really am pleased that I have so many different brands of brushes, and the ones that I'm going to be recommending to you today are of all different brands because I've truly tried to give so many a chance and try so many before I was like, okay, this is it. Like if I did a full face with these brushes and that was it for the rest of my life, I'd be set. But yeah, anyway, this is such a good bronzer brush. I would highly recommend it. It's so nice. Like it's just it's the perfect shape and it just blends out your bronzer without getting it too much like below your cheekbone, but it doesn't give you a super harsh contour either. But you could always like squeeze it and then contour that way. But if you want like a nice blown out diffused bronzing application, this is it, my friends. Like in my opinion, this is it. Okay, blush. I don't think this has changed. I have discovered so many blush brushes and I keep going back to this guy right here. This, oh my God, it's so janky. It's so old. I'm sorry. This is the Morphe. It's just a Morphe travel stipple brush and I got it in a travel collection years ago. I wanted to find a duplicate of this because they don't sell this individually, I don't think, so I've tried looking for other stipple brushes. This, in my opinion, is the best. Nothing can compare, and I would almost want to recommend something else to you, but there's something about the duo fiber that's like super soft, and I've had this again for like more than 5 years and it's still really nice. And what I love about this is that it's not super dense. Like I have other blush brushes that are more dense, like this guy right here. This is really good. I guess I would also mention this. This is the Sephora Collection Multitasker Blush Brush, and this is really nice. As you can see, it's definitely more dense. So if you want like a more pigmented application, this is really good. The shape is great to just, you know, get onto the apples. So I would also say this one's good as well. But if you want something that's more diffused and you want something that you can really just take your time and like have fun with, I would say this is really nice because it just allows you to sweep on the product and blend it out really, really easily without having to worry too much about, you know, like, am I just gonna have a stamp and then have to work so hard to blend it out? Like, this just buffs out everything really nicely from the beginning, really gently, really evenly. So I would say if you can find it, or at least something similar, this Morphe Travel Stipple brush is like my ride or die blush brush. Period. Highlight. I have two highlight brushes that I want to share with you, both of which are from BH Cosmetics. Let's start with this guy right here. This is the one that I've been using in my current 2-week cycle. It's a brush I use to apply my highlight today. I'm wearing Mary Luminizer by The Balm. This is the BH Cosmetics V14 brush. So same collection as this guy right here. What I love about this is that it is a synthetic hair, but because it's synthetic and super soft, it doesn't shed like other fan brushes, and it's not scratchy at all. And even though it looks like it may be a little bit thicker, it's still so flimsy. But when you apply it just like this, it really just does get that product on. And fan brushes are better if you want something a little bit more diffused, not as intense as like a synthetic like tapered brush, which brings me to this guy right here. This is a BH Cosmetics number 4 brush. I think this is like in the rose gold collection. This is a synthetic hair. It's more densely packed, so it's going to give you more of a pow effect, and I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to go back in with a Mary Luminizer just a little bit more, and I'm just going to pop this right on here. Barely anything. And you can see the difference between this side and this side. Like, that is just automatically way more bam. Like, do you see that? That's crazy. And it's just because the brush itself is more dense, so it's going to obviously pick up more product. But this is really good, really soft, not scratchy at all. And I prefer this shape, like a rounder, pointier, tapered shape, to like something flat like this, or the Real Techniques one. Like this, because these I feel like kind of leave stripes on my face, whereas this, because it's rounder, it doesn't give me that stripe application. I don't know, it may just be my face, but in my opinion, this and this are like the best highlighting brushes, and I wanted to recommend both based on your highlighting preferences, like if you like a more light application or if you want something more intense. So these are the way to go. Okay, am I done with my freaking face brushes? I feel like I was there for so long. I'm so sorry. This video is already so long. Let's go ahead and move on to eye brushes. Now, I have several eye brushes, and it was really hard for me to narrow this down, but I just have to go with like my all-time loves. Again, I don't have anything duplicate in my collection. Start off with this guy, obviously, the Morphe M504. I use this in every single tutorial. Even when I'm just going to work, or I'm just want to do like a wash of bronzer, or just like a one and done eyeshadow look, this is a brush I will use. It's synthetic, it washes really well. It's a fatter tapered brush, so it just will deposit the color in one full swoop, and it's just so easy to just blend out the harsh edges with this. This is the brush I went in today with my Dose of Colors eyeshadow palette. I put this little like pinky taupe shade all over my crease, and then boom, like this was the only thing that I needed for that application. It's so good. I have a few different crease brushes that I want to mention, and they're all different, but they're all similar in their own way. These are them right here. Let's start with the Morphe ones. My favorite like crease brushes, I also really like this guy too. This is a little bit longer, but I'm not going to talk about that. The Morphe M573, which is the one I used today to kind of put a little bit of a deeper color on my outer corner. It's natural hair, but it's a little bit fatter. It's smaller than the M504, but this is great for like a second application of color where you want to just buff color through the crease and then pack it on your outer corner. Like, this is a great, more tapered precision blending brush, but it'll still give you a nice wash overall. The Morphe M433, this is like a classic, kind of like a MAC 217, where it's like kind of like fluffy. This is great if you want to just like pack color in the outer corner specifically, but then turn it to just diffuse it a little bit more. This is a unique blending brush it's not unique, but I think this is great because it's not super fluffy, but it'll just give you the perfect amount of like diffused color, but like in a targeted place, you know what I mean? Because it's like that paddle shape, so you can just pat it here and then blend it out. And then I honestly do love my ColourPop blending brushes as well. This one, they don't have numbers on them. Oh, this one's the E9. This is like the smaller tapered brush. And then this is, I think, just a regular blending brush. These are both synthetic, so they're gonna pick up the product a little bit more generously, but they're not as fat and floofy as the Morphe brushes. So this is great where you wanna get a little bit more precision blending in the crease, where you don't wanna diffuse color as much, but you still wanna blend things through. I love this guy. And then this one right here, the E9, is great for smoking out your lower lash line, really packing color like right in the outer V. This is a great like stamping brush because it's small, but it's dense and round, that it'll really allow you to just put color like exactly where you want it. And then for like smaller brushes, I have to give it to these two, the Morphe M506. This is so, it's not super duper flimsy, but this is awesome if you want to just like apply color right on your lower lash line and blend it out without stamping it on. And this is a great lower lash line brush as well. Whenever I'm reaching for like a deep outer corner shade that I really just want to pack on like closer to my lower lash line and smoke it out, this is always the brush that I grab for, because the size is so great for precision detail blending because it's so small. And then I also do love this Luxie 121 mini tapered brush as well. It's got a little bit of a slant to it. I don't know if you can tell, but this is great also for outer corner and just for like smoking things on your lower lash line. Luxie brushes in general are super high quality and I really do enjoy them. For your inner corner, I would also recommend the Luxie mini round brush. Looks like this right here. It's kind of like a small dome pencil shape. This would be great for smoking on your lower lash line as well, but this just applies, like I will show you, I don't have any inner corner highlight on right now, but this applies your inner corner highlight so brightly. Like, watch, dip it in here once. Like, do you see that right away? And the size makes it perfect to do so. And then on your brow bone as well. This is just a great, great brush all around. Like, boom, right there. Amazing. And then last but not least for eye brushes, I want to give a shout out to this guy right here. This is the Morphe 213. This is my all-time favorite like lower lash line like defining brush. I just pick up like a dark shadow and then just run this like on my lower lash line, on my waterline almost. This is like my favorite to do that with ever because it's so small, it's so tiny, but it really just packs a punch and it'll allow you to just blend it out so evenly. So I really like this as well. Honestly, for all over lid shades, I just use my fingers because I think that's the best way to apply your color. But I have to give a shout out to this guy. This is the BH Cosmetics number 8 brush. It's like part of the Rose Gold collection, I think, as well. But this is just a really flat synthetic brush where if you wet pigment or you put on a foil shade and you just tap it on, I'm wearing all mattes today, so I can't really show you, but if you just tap it on, like it'll just give you really nice color. Again, I mostly prefer to use my fingers just because I feel like you get the most out of it. But for those of you who want an all over shader brush, this is really good and also affordable. And then last but not least, for nose contour, this is so random, but I have to give a shout out to this guy right here. This is the AOA Studio High Definition Brush E102. It's a slanted flat brush, and I got this brush in a big set on shopmissa.com, that site where they sell all $1 brushes. And I love this because it's just perfect to do a nice light contour down the sides of my nose. So I think it's great and I keep going back to it. All right, everyone, and that is it for my roundup of my favorite brushes. I hope you enjoyed this video. These are pretty much all affordable brushes. I don't have anything like, I don't have any Wing Goss or like Hakuhodo, really expensive fancy brands, because I honestly feel like you can just get the same look with brushes. I mean, obviously some of them will shed faster than others, but so far all of these have withstood the test of time. They're really, really good and I really believe in them and I recommend them. So leave me your favorite brushes down below. I would love to check them out and I would just love to see like where you are in terms of that, and I just would love to know what your preferences are. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you did, and hopefully I will see you in my next one. Thanks for watching. Mwah! Bye!